Welcome back to day 174 and 175 of our Bible in a Year reading plan. As you all know, these are our catch-up days. So in today's video, we are going to do a reflection on Psalms 139 and an introduction into Proverbs. Yes, can you believe it? We are almost done with the Psalms. Next week, we will wrap up the book of Psalms and read chapters 1 through 2 of Proverbs. So let's get into today's video. All right, so for today's reflection, I wanted to look at Psalms 139, which is a Psalm of David. And this Psalm is a total of 24 verses. But David covers so much in this Psalm. And I really like this Psalm because it is a reminder that God is always with us. When we read verses 1 through 18, we pretty much hear David telling God, you know everything. You know my thoughts. You know my heart. You know everything. Even if I try to run away from you, if I go to the highest mountain, if I go into the deepest sea, if I surround myself in darkness, Lord, you are there. No matter where I go, no matter where I try to run, I can't get away from your spirit because you are there. Even when he was being formed in his mother's womb, God was there. He saw him when he was being knit together in the darkness of the womb. And I really love this reminder because sometimes as believers, we feel like God has left us, that he's not hearing us, he's walked away, he's not answering us. And we see this same sentiment in David's Psalms. There are a lot of Psalms where David is crying out and he's like, God, hear me, God, answer me. Don't turn your ear from me, don't be deaf to me. And even in those moments when we feel like God is not there, when we feel like he's walked away, where he's turned his back on us, he's still there. And that's what these verses 1 through 18 remind us, is that no matter what you're going through, no matter how far away from God you feel, even when you turn your back on God, because like he said, he surrounded himself. He says, even if I surround myself in darkness. So even if we walk away from God and we go and we live a sinful and debaucherous life, guess what? God is still there. He is still there. He's right there, right beside you, helping you through the situation that you're in, trying to comfort you. And we're resisting his presence. But God is always there. He's always present. And then I like later on in the Psalm that he talks about, even when he goes to sleep and he wakes up, that God is still there. And then when we get down to verse 19, he talks about God dealing with the wicked and dealing with those wicked people. He's like, oh God, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers. They blaspheme you. Your enemies misuse your name. And he goes on to talk about, shouldn't I hate, Lord, what you hate? And we as believers, yes, we should hate what God hates. Whatever God calls a sin is a sin. And we should be detestable by the sin, not the person. We, we get that mixed up sometimes, and we start hating people instead of the sin that is affecting these people's life. Instead of going into prayer for these people, we go into gossiping about them. We go into slandering their name, because they may be living in sin, they may be a thief, they may be a liar, they may be a gossip. But we should hate the fact that they're gossiping. We should hate the fact that they're lying. We should hate those things, but we should not hate the person. And we should actually pray for the person to be delivered from those things, especially if they are men and women of God that may be struggling with these issues. We definitely need to lift them up in prayer. And then the last part of this verse, which is a prayer that all of us should be saying, daily if possible. But verse 22 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you and lead me along the path of everlasting life. So that's verses 23 through 24. And that is a simple prayer that we can say every night. It's to ask God to search our hearts. ask God to show us any wicked way in us. And believe me, if you say this prayer, God will show it to you. He may not do an obvious point out like, hey, you're dealing with lying or you're dealing with gossiping. But what will happen is God will put you in a situation that will show you that sin. So, like if you have a problem with patience, you're impatient. God will put you in a situation where you need to exercise patience, but instead of being patient, you blow up. And as parents, we see this all the time with our children. When we're adults and we're only dealing with adults, we believe that we have so much patience. But when you have children, God will quickly humble you and say, no, you don't really have patience because you just blew up at your child and all they wanted to do was to show you their drawing. Yes, this is the 10th time that they've come to show you their drawing, but I don't blow up at you when you come to me and you've prayed about the same thing 10 times. I still love you. I still speak kindly to you. I still have patience with you. So God will humble you real quick and he'll show you yourself real quick. And we want to be closer to God. We want God to show us our faults so that we can repent and become better men and women of God, become better mothers and fathers, become better friends, become better coworkers. So, like I said, Psalms 23, verses 23 and 24 are something that you can pray daily and so that you can grow as a man and woman of God. But all right, that is the end of our reflection. Now, as I said, next week we will read chapters 1 and 2 of the book of Proverbs. And the book of Proverbs is a collection of sayings from King Solomon. There are sayings from other wise men. There's also a collection of sayings from King, I think his name is pronounced Agar. And then there are also sayings from, I want to say the first two chapters are like sayings from King David to his son, but I could be wrong about that. But in general, the book of Proverbs is a collection of sayings. It's a collection of wisdom and wisdom literature that we as men and women of God can take and we can read and we can apply those pieces of wisdom to our lives. We have to remember that when we're reading the book of Psalms, that it is classified as a book of wisdom. It is classified as a book of poetry. And so sometimes we take the things that are written in the Proverbs as absolutes when they're just words of wisdom. They're things that happen in general. So like the one that says, raise your child up in the way that he will go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Well, that is a proverb that is listed in the book of Proverbs. But how many of us know people who have children that have grown up in godly homes and they want nothing to do with God? They have a disdain for the gospel. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe that God exists. And some people, because the end of that proverb says that when they are old, they will not depart from it. And some of those children, when they get older, after they've gone through their rebellious phase and all of that stuff, when they get older, they tend to turn to God. But then there are also kids that they've been brought up in church. They've been brought up to know, who God is, and they never turn back to God. So these proverbs are wisdom, things of wisdom for us to follow. So that doesn't mean that we don't train up our children in the way that they should go, but we also need to understand that just because we train them up in the way that they should go, that they won't either turn from God for a season or that they will turn from God and never return. So like I said, these are proverbs, these are words of wisdom, these are things that we can take and apply, and the promises usually will come true, but they may not come true. And as we're reading through the book of Proverbs and we do our reflections, there'll be certain proverbs that I'll discuss with you guys that kind of highlight, the duality of these proverbs. But all right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this reflection. Take some time out today and go back and read Psalms 139. I am looking forward to jumping into the Proverbs. It is another one of my favorite books of the Bible. But all right, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification for day 176 of our Bible in a Year reading plan. All right, guys, have a blessed day. Bye.